First 500 prisoners who reached Melk on April the 21st of 1944 were quartered on the first floor of a long garage on the barracks grounds, the so-called Objekt 10, Object 10, shown here. On the ground floor of the building was the prisoners' kitchen. Today it houses car workshops. The picture shows bunk beds in which the prisoners had to sleep. While at the beginning the prisoners had a relatively large amount of space at their disposal, by January 1945 the number of prisoners had risen to over 10,000 men. There was therefore a massive lack of space in the camp and several prisoners had to share the beds. While one group was at work, the other group slept and vice versa. In the densely occupied prisoners' blocks, privacy for the individual was out of the question, and peace and quiet never returned in the blocks, making it impossible to recover from the exhausting forced labor. All the cynicism of the Nazi regime is evident in the inscriptions on several ceiling beams in the former prisoners' accommodation in Objekt 10, which have been preserved to this day. Right or wrong, my fatherland can be read there, as well as the probably best known saying Arbeit macht frei, which can also be found at the entrance gates of the camps Auschwitz and Dachau. How must the prisoners have felt when they read the slogan Arbeit macht frei for the first time in Melk? Well, knowing that prisoners in the camps of the Mauthausen complex were intended for extermination through work, die Vernichtung durch Arbeit, and that the release of the camp was not part of the plan. Due to the poor sanitary conditions, diseases spread particularly easily, and many prisoners suffered in particular from constant diarrhea due to inadequate nutrition. The food rations are described in memoirs at the beginning as relatively good. However, the more prisoners came to Melk for forced labor, the more precarious the situation with regard to food became. The drawing by Daniel Piquet-Audrin shows the distribution of food in the tunnels, and thus the essential aspect of the prisoner's daily life: the struggle for food or the organization of trading goods such as cigarettes, which could be exchanged for additional food. The drawing by Daniel Piquet-Audrin shows the distribution of bread, and the former Melk concentration camp inmate Yves Briand describes the food situation in Melk as follows.
At that time the diet consisted of a piece of bread. In the evening with coffee soup or tea soup, sometimes with white semolina soup. In the morning it was just soup or coffee or tea, a black liquid. At noon, soup, often green soup, probably made from spinach or nettle. It was very liquid in any case. We swallowed this green soup. The next time we urinated, after half an hour, the cycle was closed. The soup was outside.
From late autumn 1944, prisoners often received only 1,000 calories or less per day, despite hard physical forced labor. For comparison, today we consume an average of 2,000 to 2,500 calories a day. This dramatic undersupply, combined with extremely hard and dangerous forced labor and constant violent arbitrariness and threats from the SS and prisoner functionaries, claimed almost 5,000 prisoners in Melk. The then only 14-year-old concentration camp inmate Michael Kraus captured some of these aspects in his drawings: the violence of the guards, but also the escape by suicide of desperate prisoners who had lost all hope of freedom. The next part of our tour will be devoted to the fate of the almost 5,000 prisoners murdered in Melk, and will explore the questions of which aspects could increase or decrease the probability of survival.